With Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
So a couple interesting things going on. The first one on White House Watch. Monday, the administrator of the General Services Administration, seems very, very vague, but that's what they're called, officially designated Joe Biden as the apparent victor of the presidential election. And though President Trump has allowed the certain transition teams to move forward and get access to things, he's still indicating that he believes the election was rigged. But he's doubling down in such an odd and yet entertaining way for us because he spent Tuesday morning retweeting Randy Quaid tweets.
Really?
Yes, and I have some for you. Some were
It's
videos.
not just a tweet, Adam.
No, some are here's one. And they're not recent either, at least the video. But in one, this is from November 20th, Randy Quaid said, "Never underestimate the greatest president this country has ever had. Trump is an astonishing man of the people, fighting for all of us, not big pharma. America first, KAG. Keep America great, I think. Trump, Pence 2020, Stop the Steal 2020. Trump replied, said, "Thank you, Randy, working hard to clean up the stench of the 2020 election hoax." And then Twitter writes, "This claim about election fraud is disputed." There was a lot of back and forth with Randy and Donald. And there were some videos that I don't think are new. I think they're from at least a year ago. Here's one that President Trump retweeted. Now, it's a tight shot of Randy's face with a blinking red and green light. This is the video.
That's some Kubrick shit.
Fox News daytime ratings have completely collapsed. Weekend daytime, even worse. Very sad to watch this happen.
This is the best part.
But they forgot the way. They forgot what made them successful. What got them there?
Is he trying to do an accent?
They forgot the golden goose. The only difference between the 2016 election and 2020 is Fox News.
So that was one of them.
He can do
I
know he's in exile in Canada somewhere, but he could still do VO work, couldn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think he should probably stay a little out of sight because I think the government would very much like him back. But
would we like him back?
Well, the government would because I think they have some unfinished business, like a break-in. Wasn't there like a break-in?
I don't know.
It's hard to keep up.
It's hard to keep up.
So there's another. I didn't pull it, but there's another one where he's on stage sitting backwards in a chair and does this like 3-minute poem about Trump and about Lilliputians. And you know what my one takeaway was? He's a really good actor.
He is.
He did this incredible poem about the burning of the world, and I was intrigued and enthralled.
He definitely emotes.
Yes.
That much we got. Well, I get it. He's nuts. And all I have to do is say something nice about Trump and he'll retweet it. That's the way. That's the key. That's how you get Trump to do the retweet. Just say he's a great president or he's robbed, and he will definitely retweet that shit.
Yeah,
all right, what else
we
got?
It's a social experiment. So another social experiment that is really interesting. Dave Chappelle has released a new stand-up segment on social media. Just watched it this morning called Unforgivable. It covers all the ways people and networks have stolen from him and cheated him throughout the years of his career. He said he started when he was 14. He tells the story about how a guy stole one of his jokes and said, I could just take it from you, and intimidated him. Then how he got, sort of taken for a ride and 3-card Monty in Manhattan, and all of these ways he's
that
been
one's on him.
Yeah.
Well, examples of him, like learning these life lessons. And in that one, the guy grabbed him when he figured out the trick and said, never come between a man and his next meal. And he said that really stuck with him. And then toward the end, like I said, it's almost 20 minutes. He talks about how companies like Netflix and Comedy Central and HBO have sort of given him raw deals and bad contracts throughout the years. And one example he gave was how Chappelle's show started streaming on Netflix, which I was thrilled about and watched a bunch of them. Apparently that was not cool. So he called Netflix and asked them, "This makes me feel bad." He said to them, "It makes me feel bad that you put this up because I don't get paid for this content being on Netflix, and they took it down. And he thought that was so wonderful and such a great courtesy. So now he's going forward and he says, I'm asking you, the person who watches me, my boss, you, my boss, the listeners and the watchers and the appreciators out there, don't watch the Chappelle show because I'm not getting paid for it. I'm asking you to boycott me. So this is the last minute and a half of this long monologue performance where he calls out Comedy Central and a few other networks, and this is the end.
Know what's in the hot dogs you eat. Now, there's probably a bunch of people at Comedy Central and Viacom and all these places that have no idea what I'm talking about. They've all either quit or been fired or got Me Too'd or something. Them niggas is gone. And there's a whole bunch of new young people there, and they're probably looking like, what is he talking about? They may not actually know what the fuck happened to me. So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Go downstairs to your accounting department, open the books, see what that show made, and look at what you paid me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to pay me. I am inviting you to come with me and work with me. And let's fight against that terrible, terrible feeling that you made me feel together. We can fight together and work this thing with Chappelle's show out. Or I can just take it. Thank you.
I got to tell you.
I think I referred to it real quick. I think I referred to it as unforgivable. It's Unforgiven.
Isn't that a Clint Eastwood movie? What he got a $100 million Netflix deal. I'm trying to think of what his $50 million bucks.
Oh, he loves Netflix.
He got an absurd amount of money. He got an absurd amount of money from Comedy Central. So there's a couple thoughts. One is unfortunately, this shit comes with the territory. Like, me and Jimmy invented the Man Show. We don't own the Man Show. That's the shit that goes on in this business now.
And he talks about that kind of thing.
You can go, well, that's not right, but you can also go, well, we ended up making millions of dollars and we're on their platform. You know, like, I don't think it's a fine line, which is you go, Comedy Central screwed me. Well, Comedy Central gave you millions of dollars and also made you a star. So it's not all bad. There's this is kind of baked into the cake. You know, whoever works for Dow Corning, who comes up with the new contact lens solution that makes Dow Corning $10 billion, they were being paid by Dow Corning $71,000 a year when they came up with that, and they don't own it. You know, and you can kind of go, well, that's not right. And you go, okay, well, maybe it isn't right, but then you need to build your own platform. Like, you need to build your own Comedy Central and own everything. And there's it's a lot of gray area because there's flat out cases of just being ripped off. And then there are cases of, you know, it's like our manager was a producer on The Man Show. When they did season 5 of The Man Show, Jimmy and I didn't get paid. Our manager got paid because he was a producer. And it's a bunch of shit where you're like, that's not fair. But it's like, that is, unfortunately, it's really baked into the capitalism cake. That's where we're at. And you try to arm yourself, get good people on your side, get lawyers, read contracts, and all that kind of shit. The more juice you have, the less you're going to get ripped off. But the beginning, you know, ask any blues singer or ask any, you know, I don't know, ask Taylor Swift and Scooter Braun. I learned that from TMZ.
That's you.
Yes. Right.
Well, a good comparison is, at least in this case, and I imagine it applies to a lot of cases, is like in the NFL, right? You play under a rookie, unless you're a first-round pick, top 10 pick, you play under that rookie contract, for 3 years. Let's say you kick ass. You're not being paid what you're worth, but you're being paid the contract you signed. And then at the end of that 3 years, when you're a stud in the league and you're underpaid, you either get that money from your team or you're a free agent. You get that money somewhere else. But the market will eventually meet where your skill level is. But if you sign that rookie contract, which you have to, that's what you're going to get paid, no matter if you outperform or not.
Right. And
sometimes they'll renegotiate. You know what I'm saying?
And the team pays the rookie minimum to a guy who may lead the league in rushing his second year, but also think about all the guys who signed a then multi-million-dollar contract and got injured or were bust, that the team completely takes a bath on that one. So
the Jamarcus Russell phenomenon.
Yes, there's a lot of yin and yang. I will say this about Chappelle. He's starting to border on Lenny Bruce territory, which is like he is so transcend comedy now that he's now just sitting up there, pulling up a chair and talking, and also
airing grievances.
He's a multi-million dollar. Oh yeah, his deal was reportedly $20 million per special, and has released 5 specials. All right, so that gets us to $100 million.
Remember, he's not traveling for this. Talk about building your own platform. He's doing this on his own property, on a stage in his backyard in Ohio.
I'm just saying there is we're getting into a little danger zone where I feel Chappelle should get back and get into more jokes and a little less or stories, but I don't know. Again, we're getting into some dangerous water. That's the way I feel about it. I talked to Dr. Drew today. Speaking of outdoor eating, I went to the Chinese food place that was near my house last night, and all their big tents. This is a really nice restaurant with big banquet booths and live music, and a really good place to go eat. Great atmosphere. And it was meticulously maintained. Never spot of mushu sauce on the floor. They had then constructed this giant tent in their parking lots, and then they moved everyone out into these tents in this outdoor patio area. And when I went there last night, the whole place was torn apart, and there was just like tape everywhere. And inside the restaurant, it just looked like somebody lit off a bomb. It was like furniture stacked this way, used that way as like a blockade. The whole place was just turned over. The tent was gone. The parking lot, all the patio stuff was all taken apart. There was like tape on the ground with arrows, in and out. And all anyone could do was stand in line and pick up their Chinese food to eat at home indoors. And then I was talking to Dr. Drew about this earlier today, and I said, what is going on with the outdoor dining? I thought this was the solution. Is there some big transmission from outdoor dining? And he's like, no, there's nothing.
3%.
They're just
out of 100%.
They just decided to do it. It's like, why? Why would they do that? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what they're not basing it on anything. They're just doing it. So these fucking beleaguered restaurants that already were spending tons of money that they didn't have, putting up tents and lucite barriers and spreading shit around, or putting up their hedge on the sidewalk and then putting the canopy and doing all the thousands of dollars they all spent, they now have to all tear it down.
It's insane.
Based on an insane woman who wasn't voted in, Barbara Ferrer, who's not a doctor, or certainly not
a physician,
not infectious disease. Just there's a handful of nut jobs that are just calling policy for the entire state. Yes, Brian.
I actually read the article, and it's even more infuriating than that. I hesitate to even tell you, but it's something, I'm going to get the number exactly wrong, but it's something like out of the 2,500 cases that they can trace back to restaurants, to restaurants where people are actually dining there, something like 2488, that's like all but 12 are traced back to the staff because they're inside. They're inside the kitchen. They're in a place where they're exchanging the air. They're not outside.
What is going on? Why are we putting up with it? And Dr. Drew was saying that. Now, doesn't this sound nice? I think I'll paraphrase, but he's saying a group of people from MIT. Sorry, not MIT. From from JPL.
Oh.
Maybe it's maybe it was Caltech or JPL. I can't remember, or both or something. They're going to put together like a blue ribbon panel to study things and then figure out whether we should do them or not. I think the council of LA and Garcetti and Gavin Newsom are saying, no thanks. But we have one
smartest people in the state.
Yes, we have one nutty witch who's just like setting policy for everyone in these poor restaurants. I don't know why they do it. I would just defy the government and say fuck it. But you know what? I also realized I came up with this theory, which Dr. Drew approved of. So I keep saying why. You know, the government tells you move out to the parking lot. Through great effort and expense, you construct all these tents and do all the stuff, and you comply with everything, and you move out to the parking lot, and then they change their mind and tell you to tear it all down on the eve of Thanksgiving and all the meals you could be selling, and as if things weren't hard enough, not being able to go inside. Fine. So why are they complying? Like why isn't there just a big mass uprising where people own restaurants just go, fuck you, Garcetti, fuck you, Mayor. We're just, Governor, we're just going to do whatever we want. You know what I was saying to Drew? If you are a business and you're a small business and your business involves food, you're a restaurant in Los Angeles, you have to go through so much red tape. You have to get so many certificates. There's all the health inspectors and building and safety and all the employee shit and all the stuff. Your relationship is so tenuous. You've had to do so much compliance. You just comply, that the bridge from all the crazy overregulation that we've always talked about in Los Angeles County, the bridge to get from there to we will just shut your ass down is a small bridge now. There's not much of a bridge. If you think about it, right, let's just pretend this is Texas, 1957. And you tell every restaurant, sorry, shut it down. They're going to go, fuck you. That would be fuck you because they didn't get the bridge built. If you went to Los Angeles in 1957, they would say fuck you because they didn't build the bridge. There's so much overreach. There's so much bureaucracy. There's so much regulation. There's so many hoops to jump through, and there's so many certificates to earn, and so many people not to get on the wrong side of that by the time you get there, you're like a fucking battered wife. You just don't want to deal with it.
You don't want to upset them.
Because there's no way they would get from this crazy fucking witch, Barbara Ferrer, telling everyone to shut it down. If you tried that in the 50s, everyone just go, fuck you, and I'll be on the roof with my gun. That's where we would be in the 50s. But they fucking worked people so hard to the body for so many years with so much regulation that they're just in compliance mode. They're now in broken populist mode. They're broken. They're like, yeah, fuck it. We got to do what they tell us to do. If they told them to drop and give them 25 push-ups, they would just do it. Just do it.
And guess how many people this is going to affect? Because I have the number.
All right, let's hear it.
On the approximately how many people are screwed because of these restaurants shutting down in LA County?
I have no idea.
There's got to be 1 million restaurants in LA.
750,000 people.
Right, but according
and that includes. People don't realize the reach of a restaurant. You know, the produce people and all that food that's just going to go bad and go to waste. It's insane.
Well, it's not nuts. Evidently, for Dr. Drew told me Pasadena just went fuck off. Mm-hmm. We're just staying.
Pasadena and Long Beach.
All right, everybody should just stay open. Why are you listening to these fucking people? How many times do I have to say this? There's something wrong with them. It's established. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just stay open. What are you going to do? What if everyone said we're never going to pay another parking ticket? Do you think they could enforce that? Do you think that's possible? They can't enforce any of this stuff. See what they do in Pasadena. They're not going to do anything. They can't do anything. When they tell the fucking sheriffs, hey, once you enforce these family gatherings for Thanksgiving, the sheriffs go, nah. And then that's it. There's nothing they can do.
That's right.
I don't know.
All the Riverside, LA County, Orange County, San Bernardino, all the sheriffs said no, and made an extra bonus point saying, you don't think that the population hates us enough right now after all the riots and the looting, and now you want us to take them down on the street for not wearing a mask? You're insane.
Well, the good people need to rise up and a little civil disobedience. Hey, remember the bumper stickers? I think the bumper stickers I used to read, I think during the Bush administration, which is dissent is patriotic.
Oh, yeah.
I used to see a lot of those. They all went away when Obama got in office. But when Bush was in office.
When Trump came in.
Yes, dissent is patriotic. Okay. Well, there you go. Let's be patriots, shall we? Just sad to see everyone at this local restaurant having to hustle around and knock everything over and take everything down and blah. All right, Gina, sorry.
Well, let's talk about something a little uplifting because I think we need it. Spike Lee has signed on to helm a musical movie about the origin of Viagra.
Wow.
And that is not a joke. I really had to check a couple of sources on this. He made this emailed statement to Deadline. He waxed poetic about this upcoming musical project. It was really long email, so I just grabbed a couple of sentences from it. This is the email he wrote. He said, I thank my late mother for, as she would say, taking my narrow, rusty behind, dragging, kicking, and screaming to the movies when I was a nappy-headed kid growing up in the streets of the People's Republic of Brooklyn. I did not want to see corny people singing and dancing. Thank you, Lottie. She didn't listen to my ongoing complaints about musicals. So finally, going into my fourth decade as a filmmaker, I will be directing a dancing, all singing musical Spike Lee joint, and I can't wait. And that's the Rogers and Hammerstein Truth Ruth.
Well, you can no longer say anything's a bad idea anymore because we've heard every idea, and the ones you think are the worst oftentimes end up being the best, and the good ideas don't seem to pan out. So you can never. We'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah, if like Lin-Manuel Miranda's involved, I'll fucking check it out. I doubt Spike's writing the music.
That's a great point, Brian, because I was just going to say, and I think I've said this before, when my friend who's on the inside, knows all the Broadway people, works in the industry, told me there was a musical in rehearsal at the time about like a rap musical about Hamilton. I texted him and said, that sounds like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And he said, no, it's getting really good reviews. I was like, okay, that sounds stupid. And I was clearly wrong. So is this the next one? Maybe.
I read that R. Kelly was going to do all the music.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah.
That is controversial.
Controversial. Is he in jail or in prison?
I think he's in custody still, right?
Yeah, Gary says yes. Gary must be on Black Twitter or something. Gary's got his fucking ear to the urban ground. He probably knows that guy on my American flight who yelled at the flight attendant. All right, sorry. Young Money, Cash Money knows.
That's right.
Apparently, music's being done by Stu Stewart and Heidi Rodewald.
I knew it.
Revealing my ignorance, I don't know anything about these people. They run a Tony, so.
All right.
Oh, okay. So speaking of prison, Harvey Weinstein is spending all of his time in front of cameras again. According to TMZ, the convicted rapist has cameras recording his every move so he doesn't go the way of Jeffrey Epstein, who we still say allegedly killed himself behind bars. Sources say that beside the regular surveillance cameras, a correctional officer is assigned to follow Weinstein wherever he goes in this correctional facility in upstate New York.
This is cruel and unusual. And I'll tell you why. Well, it's definitely unusual.
Yes.
When you're Weinstein and you're in prison, all you got is your spank bank and your junk.
And your ficus.
That's all you got. That's all you got. That's all you got in prison is beating off.
Yep.
What else is that?
He asked for a fern to be brought in.
Yes. I mean, that's all he has.
He doesn't mind an audience, from what we know.
Yeah, I feel like, boss, the big boss man is probably not as inspirational as
one of the starlets.
As a young starlet.
Did you mean the actual wrestler, the big boss man?
Fuck yes, I did.
Put it up. Put him up.
Put a picture up, and you'll know why this man,
nice.
meaning Adam Carolla, deserves an award. Because as Brian knows, I've sort of rudimentary understanding of 80s, 90s pro wrestling. I don't
That's
know.
A good pull.
I don't know all the characters, but I did a deep pull to try to think of a guy in a prison guard's or sheriff's outfit that would be your worst inspiration for beating off.
He had a flat top and a goatee. He's the perfect example.
Yeah,
there he is.
Imagine that guy staring at you. He's pointing at Big Boss Man on his lapel, on his pocket of his prison outfit. He's holding that fucking nightstick, and he's just staring at you with those crazed eyes the whole time.
He has a motorcycle jacket.
He's the Big Boss Man.
He's the Big Boss Man.
I don't remember him, and I know a lot about 80s wrestling. I don't remember him.
He maybe came out around like 1990-ish.
Oh, that's great.
I don't even know. He's the Big Boss Man, but he's got a leather motorcycle jacket.
Yeah.
So what is he? Is he a motorcycle cop?
He's private security.
Oh, is that what
No, he goes under deep cover.
Yeah, I'm saying that is a boner killer. Big Boss Man staring at you when you try to peel one off? No, thank you.
All right, Chris, now we need a side-by-side because I got to put it to these guys. Big Boss Man or Bam Bam Bigelow?
Oh, I love Bam. Wait, I have the
but for whacking it.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but Bam Bam would be a disaster to beat off to. There's no doubt, and so would the Undertaker and all of them.
The Junkyard Dog.
Yeah,
They'd all be
just gonna say, don't forget the Junkyard Dog.
Fabulous Moolah.
They're what? Oh, the only female to make the list.
Even she would be a tough squeeze. But the reason
who did the Honky Tonk Man represent?
Nashville. Well, all these guys would be a disaster to beat off in front of. I just picked the Big Boss Man because he's wearing half a prison guard outfit.
That's right.
And
No, you did good.
I gave him some context. That's all.
He actually was a
real good.
corrections officer.
He was a corrections officer.
Yeah, so that's who the character's based off of.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You're too good.
I've never felt more vindicated. Wait till I go home and tell everybody. Guess what happened? Guess what? You know the Big Boss Man? Oh, okay. Well, he was a 90s. We can look him up. All right, but you know Weinstein?
What are you talking about?
This would be the perfect story of no one giving two fucking shits about it. We understand I'm clairvoyant over here because I picked the Big Boss Man, and he used to be a correctional officer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to come across. All right, Gina, what else we got?
Well, let's stay on the prison tip for a second, because this would be a very good time for Weinstein to reach out to Kim Kardashian, because she is back at it again. She's finding her life's work in trying to get the wrongly imprisoned out. And remember, she did that with persuading President Trump to release Alice Marie Johnson from a life sentence. Now she's throwing her weight behind this case in Oklahoma of a man named Julius Jones, who's on death row for a murder he insists he didn't commit. Kim met with Jones on Monday and promised to aid his fight for clemency in any way she can. He's convicted of first-degree murder in 2002, but claims he got a shoddy defense and that the prosecution's case was thin. So he is the new case that Kim K is taking up.
Can I?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I ask an ignorant question? Does Kim Kardashian require any other evidence of innocence besides I swear I didn't do it and I have a bad defense?
Well, I will answer that for you in the best way I can. So she's not just randomly doing this. She is going, and I'm sure Garrigus can explain more about this, but she is a law student now.
Not Saturday, he couldn't have.
No,
Today he
answered
could.
my
He was
name.
disbarred for
Definitely
24
not
hours.
Saturday.
But she is, it's not like, this isn't just like something she took up on Pinterest. She is a law student. So, and she's part of, one of the clemency project. So she's not doing this completely alone. So I would imagine, the rest of the students and the staff have picked this case for a reason.
They got to vet these people because, yes, I was set up. I'm an innocent man. I had a horrible lawyer. Well, by the way, everybody who gets life in prison or the death penalty had a horrible lawyer de facto in their mind.
Right.
I don't care
Scott
if you
Peterson?
fucking have F. Lee Bailey on your
Scott Peterson
shit.
knew.
Yes, if you end up on death row, then you go, guess who had a horrible lawyer?
Scott Peterson?
Right,
Yeah.
Scott Peterson.
We get it.
Although he's going to get out.
Well, was he not on death row, or am I completely making that up?
There was controversy about death row and the jury, and part of the thing is I'm trying to comb through my memory here is part of the jury selection involved people. They have to ask people, would you sentence someone to death or not? Because if it's a death penalty case, and you won't then, and you're against the death penalty, then we can't have you in the jury pool. Something about that selection that ended up sort of tainting the trial, and that's where Mark's sort of resting his hopes. But yeah, I think he got a death sentence. But getting a death sentence in California, I mean, look no further than Charles Manson. Yeah, it got overturned, right? But he did get the death sentence according to Young Money, Cash Money over here.
Uh-huh.
Well, there is, yeah.
And then Newsom put a stay on all the all the executions. You're not going to get. It's kind of academic, I guess, if you get the death sentence in California. Although Mark could probably tell me why I was wrong. Not Saturday. Definitely not Saturday, but today. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Scott Peterson, it's great that you brought him up because I forgot to tell you this broke right as we were starting. So I don't have all the information in front of me. But Mark could sue on Scott's behalf for another completely unrelated reason. So a California prosecutor, this is from ABC 7, says someone has filed unemployment claims in the name of convicted murderers Scott Peterson and a few others. And they've done this among thousands of inmates. So Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert says at least 35,000 unemployment claims were made on behalf of prison inmates between March and August. And guess how many of those were paid out? $140 million worth. If we're talking about the organizational ability of this state. 140 million of those have been paid out. At least 158 claims have been filed for 133 inmates on death row, Scott Peterson being one of them. And remember, we talked about that dude, that guy who goes by Nuke Bizzle, who not only defrauded the government, but then rapped about it.
Right.
Some people sell cocaine. I just file a claim.
Right. That was a California thing.
Yeah. Right. So this is who we're putting our trust in when it comes to open the restaurants, close the restaurants.
Well, Jesus Christ. I know. Like, first off, what do they touch that they don't fuck up? These settlements, bullet trains. Like, why should we be so exquisitely confident in the leadership here in California and Los Angeles? I think Mark would pick up this case, but he's right now knee deep in a class action lawsuit against the Don Julio estate. So overserved. He said the bottle was too tall and it poured too easily.
He's suing the pink elephants who danced on his head.
That's right. All right, let's bring it home, Gina.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.